Um, oh, sorry, Peter. I was going to say we aren't recording, but it just started up again.
Oh, good. Well, welcome everyone. Looks like spring is finally coming, although it's in fits and starts. Catherine is not able to make tonight's meeting, but Bethany will be able to bail us out when needed. Our agenda includes an update from Healthy Roots and Champlain Valley, Feeding Champlain Valley, a discussion of the proposed fiscal 25 budget adjustment, which is an action item, I believe, and consideration of a new chair for the project review committee. We'll start by, as we always do, by having introductions. And I'd like to start by welcoming four relatively new commissioners. Some of them have appeared once before, but some have not appeared at all. And they include Michelle Frenier of Fletcher, Matt Stebbins of Sheldon, Damon Broderick of Swanton Village, and Danielle Chouinier of Alberg Town. We're glad that you've joined, and we look forward to working with all of you. As usual, I'll identify each municipality and ask that those representing the towns I call to identify themselves. Starting with Alberg Town.
Good evening, Alex McCracken, Alberg Town.
Okay, Alberg Village. Bakersfield. I thought I saw Linda McCall. Yeah, she's here. Berkshire.
Yeah, hi, this is Josh. I'm here.
Enosburg Falls. Enosburg Town. Fairfax.
Barbara Murphy, and I just wanted to say Linda had typed in the messages that she's on an old computer without a speaker.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Fairfield. Fletcher.
Michelle Frenier, I'm new to the spot. Nice to meet you all.
Yes, thanks for joining. Franklin.
Yvonne Dandran, Town of Franklin.
Georgia.
Carl Rosenquist, I'll be with you till 7 o'clock, and then I have to go to another meeting.
Kirk Waite from Georgia is here as well.
Grand Isle.
Go ahead, Howard.
Howard DeMar, Grand Isle. Thank you, Barclay.
Barclay Morris, also Grand Isle.
Highgate. Isle of Mont. Montgomery. North Hero.
Andy, North Hero.
Richford. Sheldon. St. Albans City.
Chip Sawyer, St. Albans City.
Elizabeth Nance, St. Albans City.
St. Albans Town.
Marietta Shelton.
South Hero.
Bob Bierman.
And Peter Zamore. Swanton.
Nicole Draper, Swanton Town.
Swanton Village.
Roderick, Swanton Village.
And Heidi Bridge Valenta, Swanton Village.
Great. And then for the staff, I see Bethany.
Yes, Peter, I am here. I'm on my phone. I'm going to get my computer up and running.
Okay, thank you. And I thought I saw Dean here, but I guess he left.
No, I am here.
Oh, there you are.
Mr. Chair, and it was unbeknownst to me that she made me the host, which is why I could turn on the recording. So good evening to everyone.
And I don't think I see anyone else from the staff here. Okay. And now the agenda item is opportunity for public comment. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak? Hearing none, then next item is consideration of the March meeting minutes. Would anybody like to make a motion?
Hi, Peter. I'll move that we accept the minutes as written.
Is there a second?
Marietta Shelton, second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries. Next, we'll hear an update on Healthy Roots and Feeding Champlain Valley. I'll hand it over to Christine Porcaro and Nora Lindberg.
Hi, it's really nice to see you all. I'm really excited to be here. I wanted to take this time to share a little bit of report on Healthy Roots activities for 2024 and what has been made possible because of NRPC and since our transfer to Feeding Champlain Valley. After I share that, I'm going to have Nora, who's with Feeding Champlain Valley, share a little bit more about her program in Franklin and Grand Isle so you can see more about what we're doing in our region. Dean, am I able to share my screen?
I
Yes.
think so, but if you have any issues, we'll try to authorize it.
Okay. Yeah. So here is just a little annual report for Healthy Roots Collaborative.
I'm not seeing anything yet.
Yeah, hold on just a second, Christine.
Not seeing anything? Okay. Should I stop sharing?
There we go.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Yeah. So through our Gleaning and Food Access program in 2024, we were able to glean, recover, and purchase over 52,000 pounds of local produce. Just to give a little perspective, we were a little over 48,000 in 2023. This produce was distributed to 34 recipient sites, with 21 sites receiving regular deliveries, which means every week or every other week. We continued our 2 food box programs, the Migrant Household Food Box Program in partnership with Bridges to Health, and also the Northwest Pharmacy CSA, which is a prescription CSA in partnership with Northern Tier Center for Health. This was our first year running the CSA in Grand Isle County. We partnered with the Darby Farm in Alburg, so recipients could go directly to the Darby Farm stand. It was our first time using that model, and we were hoping to replicate that this year with both the Darby Farm and Sandy Bottom Farm in Isle of Mont. Through those programs, we purchased over $17,000 in local produce to fill these boxes with produce from local farms. Here, just showing some photos. That's Peter gleaning at Pamacala Farm in Grand Isle. We also did some blueberry gleaning at Liberty Hill Farm. And then on the right, that is one of our CSA boxes over the past summer. I don't know. There we go. For our farm and food business support, last year we were awarded a Working Lands Enterprise Initiative Service Provider Grant. This allowed us to provide one-on-one sales and marketing assistance to 7 farms. This include creating and updating websites, developing sales and marketing plans, expanding to new markets, and creating social media and newsletter outreach schedules. As you'll see on the top left, Mila's Flower Farm, that's a flower farm in Georgia. We were able to create their website and then also add e-commerce to it as well. If you visit their website right now, you'll see that they have tubers for sale as well as their flower CSA. We saw a lot of sales growth and new markets throughout this grant. Another part of this grant allowed us to improve the Northwest Vermont Grown website in partnership with South Hero Land Trust. The work done on the website allowed us to see a 319% increase in unique visitors to the website last year. This website highlights farm and food producers in both Franklin and Grand Isle County. we also developed a print Franklin County guide to farms and food. So last year was the first year that that happened. And this year we're right now in the process of updating that guide, and we should be printing it in May and distributing it throughout the 2 counties. And you'll see also here the Grand Isle map, which I think this year will be, I think, is it the 21st edition of that map? Here we have some more photos of gleaning at Palmacala Farm, some broccoli from Palmacala, and then also a photo of Nora with 2 of our volunteers at our warehouse in Sheldon. And those boxes are the CSA boxes going out through the Migrant Household Food Box Program. Farm to School. We continued our gleaning field trips with local schools. We were also able to offer bus funding to 2 schools that would not have been able to attend field trips without it. We also held 2 farm to school gatherings, one in Franklin County and one in Grand Isle County. These gatherings brought different stakeholders from across both counties to discuss what people want to see for farm to school programming. This became the impetus for us to apply for a farm to school vision grant through the Agency of Ag. Our proposal looks to expand farm to school activities throughout Grand Isle County. So programming in South Hero, Grand Isle, and Alburgh. This would be a multi-year project in partnership with South Hero Land Trust and Grand Isle County Natural Resources Conservation District. But I want to thank NRPC for being such a great home for Healthy Roots. And I was really excited to come back tonight to share all the amazing things we had done in this past year. I also wanted to be able to share that with all the information happening around federal funding across the county, across the country and the state, I wanted to be able to share a little bit of perspective on where Healthy Roots is at. I can stop my share. But just to, I would say, like, make sure people know that Healthy Roots programming will be continuing as it has in the past. The majority of our funding right now is coming from donations, and while we do have some grant funding to support that as well, none of that is federal funding. But I do want to highlight that, CVOEO, sort of the bigger organization that we're under, has been affected and is continuing to have to adjust and brace for what is next. They've seen cuts to fair housing and now threats to Head Start. So though we are not necessarily directly offended, knowing that our parent organization is being affected by those federal funding cuts, we just want to be aware of that. Where we have seen some effects, and I think where we're bracing to see in the future, is the USDA funding. So Healthy Roots was a recipient of Local Food Purchasing Assistance Grant. We were able to purchase food from primarily socially disadvantaged farmers, which we then distributed through the Northwest Pharmacy CSA and mini fridges at Notch locations, and then also local food for schools. So schools purchasing local food from farms. So that's something that I think we're seeing effects of now, but I think some of that purchasing wouldn't have happened until the summer and fall. So I think we'll see some effects later on in the year as well. And then lastly, I just wanted to share an exciting new opportunity for Healthy Roots. The Vermont Food Bank is going to be stopping their gleaning program in Chittenden County, and they approached Feeding Champlain Valley to see if Healthy Roots would want to take that over. They do their gleaning primarily at the Intervale, but also work with some farms down in Shelburne and Charlotte. The conversations have just started. The food bank met with the Intervale. We're planning to meet with the Intervale and the food bank in May. If this was to come through, we would be hiring another person on our staff that would both be able to work down in Chittenden County, but also provide support to our gleaning program up here in Franklin and Grand Isle County. So exciting growth, and I would say additional gleaned produce wouldn't just stay in Chittenden County. That would also provide increased gleaned produce to come up to our 2 counties up here as well. So yeah, I really want to thank you all, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions? Christine, I'd just like to ask you, you indicated that you're seeing areas of growth, but you're also seeing areas where funding may be cut back. Overall, how are you feeling about the overall sustainability of Healthy Roots?
I would say I feel really positive about it. One big change this past year, we were able to start accepting donations directly on the Healthy Roots website, which was a funding source that we had not had prior to. All of our fundraising was done through grant writing. And so we are still doing a bunch of grant writing. We also have a philanthropy team at Feeding Champlain Valley that's working to raise funds for our program. And so I would say now more than ever, we have a great diversity of funding, and a lot of that is not relying on federal funds is where we're seeing the most instability.
Great.
Christine,
Yeah.
sounds like you're trying to explore new avenues due to these grant cuts and also to expand the program in difficult times. And I'd like to say thank you very much for your efforts. It seems you're working very hard, as are I'm sure all the members. And I, for one, appreciate your efforts very much.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
If there aren't any questions, I would love to pass it over to Nora. Nora actually is another really awesome, I would say, new part of the Healthy Roots story. She was working out of the Sheldon warehouse that we renovated, I guess at this point, maybe almost 2 years ago. But Nora runs the home delivery program that runs in both Franklin and Grand Isle County. And I wanted her to come here today to just share more about the work so that you guys know that this program is happening in your community.
Hi, I'm Nora. Like Christine said, I have been able to join forces with the Healthy Roots team, and it's been a really wonderful relationship to be able to use some of the gleaned produce from Peter and Christine and bring that to folks in the community. And so I kind of do a mix of home deliveries and group drop-offs throughout Franklin and Grand Isle counties. I tell folks it's an extension of the food shelf. So if it's hard for you to get there, then this is a viable option for folks. And so I have home deliveries available in a couple of different towns. And then I've tried to expand more by doing group drop-offs and meeting folks where they're already going. So I paired with NCSS, and we decided to do a playgroup drop-off. The playgroup is already run by NCSS at the Enosburg Library. And then there's free diapers and free wipes offered at the library. And so we thought it would be cool to be able to offer free food to the families as well. So we have folks sign up online, and you're able to create the order online. It's a mixture of fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, shelf-stable food, frozen meat, frozen fruit, and frozen meals. And so then folks will put that in online. I build up the orders and then drop them off where people are already going or to their homes. So another example, which I guess is maybe up in the air, is the Head Start drop-off. And we have a fridge and a freezer in the basement there, and families are able to place orders. I bring them in the afternoon, and then when parents come to pick their children up, they're able to grab their grocery box as well. And so as we're kind of looking at the future of this program, we're looking at creating some more drop-off locations in communities and kind of like keep trying to reach places that we're not in. And I thought it'd be really great to ask you guys if you have any places in your communities that either already have the infrastructure, like fridges and freezers available, or just an idea of a place that would be a good spot. We have connections with playgroups and schools and elderly homes. And so if there are places like that, you know, jump out at you that seem like a good spot in your community, it would be really awesome to be able to know about some of those. And we do have referrals with other organizations. So social workers, I work closely with social workers and at-home nurses who are able to connect people to this resource that already are also receiving other resources to kind of create a more wraparound approach. But yeah, I would really love any input from you guys about spots in your community, looking at places to expand to, or even if there's not a spot in mind, a group of people, and going from there. We are currently not working with the Abenaki Tribal Council. I'm open to it, and we just haven't fully aligned yet. I've spoken to the previous person who ran the organization or ran the food shelf, I believe, but we haven't planned anything together yet.
I have a question. When it comes to the boxes for migrant families and such, have you had any sort of barriers to folks being willing to accept or get those resources given the current environment? I feel like I was very pleased to hear that that's part of the program, but it worries me that people won't want to reach out for that given the environment we're in. Just wanted to hear your feedback.
I would say because we work with Bridges to Health and they have such a solid connection with folks, I think that is really helpful. In this time, I think it's actually more important that we continue deliveries. We recently expanded from around 30 deliveries to around 50 because I think folks are less interested in leaving their home in the current climate. And so we are trying to increase, and we're possibly increasing even more. But we're kind of looking at numbers right now.
Thank you for all of that you're doing. I just feel it's so important right now. So thank you.
Thank you.
Nora, I just put a couple links in the chat for the city of St. Albans.
Awesome. Thank you. I can also put my email in the chat. So if anyone is interested in following up with me, if you have a wonderful idea, please send it along.
And I should add to another potential program is food lockers. There's a pilot program happening down in Addison County, and there's already grant funding to purchase other food lockers, and these food lockers would be connected to Nora's program, and that people would go online, put in an order, and then that food would be placed in the lockers, and then people would be able to pick that up. So creating a little bit more flexibility if someone was not able to make it to the food shelf during their hours, or it's a more central location, so not having to do more home deliveries, delivering a bunch of food just to one spot.
Question for both of you. You mentioned that you're working with South Hero Land Trust. You mentioned that a few times. Are there other local land trusts in northwestern Vermont that you're working with? I'm not familiar with how many there are, but I was wondering if there are any others.
We are not. I would say our other land trust relationship would be the Vermont Land Trust. And that's because of their relationship with the West Farm, which has been a partner farm of Healthy Roots for a long time for gleaning and for food purchasing, but we've received funding from them to do local purchasing. for both actually Nora's program and for Healthy Roots.
Anybody have a sense of whether there are other local land trusts? Okay, other questions or comments? This is great.
I'll just ask quickly what the vision is for, we're a Notch family, so I take my mother to her appointments, my granddaughter, I go myself, and there's always vegetables in the fridge, and I'll ask my mother, do you want something? And she'll say, oh no, that's for people that are really, so what is your vision? Do you just want to get it out there? Do they move well in those sites? What would you say to people in deciding whether to take it or not?
I would say it's for anyone accessing the Notch. And so I think part of that, I would say for both Nora's program and the work that Healthy Roots is doing, it's creating food access at a really low barrier. And so for us, you know, we have the healthcare CSA, which is a prescription CSA. So like seeing a doctor and then prescribing the individual with that. Having the mini fridges is like another outlet for people to access produce, but like just showing up to the waiting room, that's the requirement. So, and it does move well. I would say one thing we've talked about is right now we're only able to stock those fridges once a week. And so sometimes we'll come back and like they're empty and we're like, how many days has it been empty? And so like not wanting people to always show up and see them empty. So I think a vision for the future would have the capacity to maybe fill those up more than once.
That's it. So it's really great to hear. It's such a wonderful program, and really nice to see the fresh food being distributed. Thank you.
I just wanted to say to Nora, I'm amazed at how many creative solutions you've come up with, because you seem to see a problem and figure out how to fix it. You know, on top of all the hard work, the creativity is remarkable. So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, any other questions or comments? If not, thank you both very much for telling us about your operations. They're very impressive, and you're doing the Lord's work. It's great. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. I also left my email if anyone wants to follow up with me as well.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, now we'll move on to committee reports, starting with finance. Kirk?
The finance committee did meet. We spent some time on the proposed budget adjustment for FY25. That's an action item that will be discussed later on in the meeting.
Personnel, Bob?
Personnel committee did not meet, so nothing to report.
The executive committee did meet. We discussed the fiscal year 25 mid-year budget adjustment that Kirk will describe later. We discussed the wrapping up of the fiscal year 24 audit, and we had a discussion of a new chair for the project review committee, which we'll also be getting to later on. Project review, anyone here who can speak for them?
Project review did not meet.
Okay. Transportation Advisory Committee?
That also did not meet, and actually the next time they meet, they also have to pick a new chair. So,
Bob, you got too many hats.
I'm not running either one of those anymore.
Well, you're doing
At least
great
not
work.
yet.
Brownfields Committee, is Megan here? I don't see her.
We did not meet.
Okay. Regional Plan and Policy Committee. Lori, I don't think is here. Anyone else who can speak?
I don't think we met.
Okay. Vermont Economic Progress Council, Barbara.
They did meet and I witnessed the first part of the Zoom before they went into executive session. There was a change in, they approved a change for Rutland's TIF request and I believe have now pushed that through. They carried that motion and spoke to the fact that Rutland County is done now with 2 TIF districts and that there isn't any current legislation to change the limit of 2 per county. But I don't know if they discussed that later after executive session. As I said, I didn't come back. And Ansett Tebbetts was there and spoke to the veggie request by Vermont Packing House and how it plays a critical role in animal processing by our farmers and even over into New Hampshire. So doing lots of good things. Just not in Franklin County or the islands.
Thank you. Green Mountain Transit.
So Green Mountain Transit had a couple of activities in our meeting a couple of weeks ago. One of the big ones was we have, I forgot how many, it's 4 or 5 coach buses that used to be used for one of the commuter routes, and they're no longer used. But since they were purchased with federal dollars and hadn't reached their end of life, Green Mountain Transit was still had a financial responsibility for them. We were able to find another agency that would take those buses and get them off our books. So they're going to get shipped to Texas. So in terms of a financial benefit, that's a big plus for GMD. The other activity is, and again, with our continuing budget issues, we're looking at the next round of, how do I want to say, resizing routes to make them more efficient coming up in August.
You said in August, Bob?
This is continuing this stretch of revising routes to make them more efficient.
Yeah. Healthy Routes Advisory Committee, Marietta.
So we did meet, but we thoroughly discussed everything that we discussed and more. So I have nothing more to add.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Northwest Vermont Regional Foundation, Kirk.
Nothing to report.
And staff.
Dean, do you have anything?
Well, I'll just apologize to Peter and say that now that I'm thinking more clearly, in addition to the South Hero Land Trust in our region, there's also a new small land trust in Montgomery, and there's also Cold Hollow to Canada. So both in the eastern part of our region, and both more forest land conservation oriented.
Thank you.
And Peter, my only update would be the mid-year budget adjustment, which we'll talk about shortly, and then starting to look ahead to FY26.
Okay. And speaking of that, that's the next agenda item, the mid-year budget adjustment. And Kirk, were you going to start that off?
Yeah, so I'll kick it off. I think Bethany did a really nice job of putting a summary of the budget adjustment as well as an overview of the numbers of the budget adjustment in the packet. The budget adjustment does see a reduction in revenues of $459,157, a comparable reduction in expenses of $420,489. So the net of that is that we adopted a FY25 budget that gave us a $39,483 surplus. And this new budget still balances, but only has an $815 surplus. I would say as the team went through this, it had the normal amount of give and take with projects starting later or finishing earlier and that type of things. What made this a bit more challenging is the cancellation of federal grants that was not anticipated. And the team, through reducing the amount to be spent on consultants and others, was able to balance that, but did use the $39,000 surplus that was in the original budget to balance the adjustment. As I said, Bethany is on to answer any detailed questions that you have. But this was reviewed in detail by the Finance Committee with Bethany and the rest of the team, and recommend that the full board adopt this proposed FY25 adjustment.
Okay, Bethany, do you have anything to add, or should we go to a motion?
I'm just available if anyone has any specific questions that weren't covered in the memo.
Okay.
I would make a motion that consistent with the Finance Committee recommendation that we adopt the proposed FY25 budget adjustment as presented in the packet.
I would
Second.
second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries.
And I would add, and Bethany's working hard on this. And thank you for the motion and for carrying the motion. Though we got through this budget adjustment, I would say rather unscathed. We are a bit worried about where we'll land with the FY26 budget, and the team's working really hard on that now. But the cancellation of the federal grants will have a bigger impact on our FY26 budget than it did on FY25.
Chip.
I guess this is for Bethany, but I think I saw something about AmeriCorps being cut. Are we going to lose interns this summer, or are we going to?
So we have one current Eco AmeriCorps member who is impacted, who's been a great service member, who's supposed to be serving with us through August. And Catherine has been working on a contingency plan, working with the executive committee on that. There's going to be an important meeting on Friday for that program where we'll learn more details about how long their service will continue under the state funds that they do have. And then we'll be having more conversations about whether we, how we can be able to fulfill her service and honor her service through August. But definitely it looks like we will not have a AmeriCorps member for the next fiscal year. And
continues.
And Peter, Chip has his hand raised as well.
Chip.
You know, I know that this is just looking at the budget, but do we have any other emergency reserves? I know that we're leaving ourselves only $800 for the rest of the for the next 3 months.
Yeah, so we actually have, as you may, I don't know if you were here when we did the budget last month, but we have a pretty significant unallocated fund. So we believe that we're okay if something were to happen from an emergency standpoint, as well as our allocated funds. You know, if something were to happen to the building or something else, we also have allocated funds we've set aside.
Yeah, so our audited fund balance for through FY24 was $780,000. And some of that is not spendable. But we, fortunately, the commission has been very conservative in ensuring that we maintain both reserves and a fund balance for times of unpredictability.
Any other discussion on the budget adjustment? Okay, turning to the last substantive item, election of a new chair for the Project Review Committee. Are there any nominations? Yeah,
Peter,
Yeah.
I would like to nominate Bill Irwin to be the chair of the Project Review Committee. And as further on information for the commission is he has agreed to be nominated and to serve if elected. But
I'll second that, but it's unfortunate that he, since he's not here, that you haven't done so without him knowing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I better not miss a meeting.
It's good incentive to attend.
That's
Yeah.
right.
But
All
I think
sorts of
Bill will do a
mischief.
great job, Bob, as well. I'm sure you do.
Any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor of electing Bill Irwin as the chair of the project review committee, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. And now we're on to commissioner announcements.
I'll just announce from City of St. Albans that we're looking at a project to build another 87 workforce housing units on the Fonda property. That's nearly done with the DRB process, and we're working with VTrans on an extension of the Missisquoi Valley Rail Trail, which will include constructing a new trailhead next to the former Fonda property with a shared use path connection to Federal Street.
Great.
Great.
Love to hear about new housing.
Well,
Any other commissioner announcements? Barclay?
totally unrelated to commission business, but I just got back from a bike ride on the Missisquoi Valley Rail Trail. And if anybody wants a phenomenal walk, the mile from Route 7 up to the interstate, the wildflowers are just blowing up out of the ground. There's white trillium everywhere and a bunch of other ones that haven't quite gone into bloom, but it would be a very pretty walk for the next few days. And because of that ride, I made it home at 5:28 tonight. but I was online before 6:30 or 6:28. I was online before 6:30.
That's pretty impressive. Any other announcements?
I have a question, Peter.
Yeah.
Last month, I wasn't able to make the meeting, but I saw in the minutes that there was some discussion about the Paragould plant closure in Georgia. And I didn't know how much of an impact that was going to do in the region. Or is that too early to comment on that?
Yeah, somebody talked about that, and the sense I got was that it's not the end of the world. But
I mean,
is anybody here who can speak to that?
Right, it's 400 and something jobs. Tim Smith talked to it. The building is really specialized, so unless they can find somebody that is in the same type of business, it would be really tough to use that site. I guess on a side note, one of the potentials that comes out of that is that site has a lot of sewer and especially water capacity. And, maybe that could be put to a good growth use for Georgia or the region in some way.
I thought he also talked about the other employment opportunities that would be available. Maybe I missed that.
He also said, but there's 2 years for things to wind down, so there's still time for alternatives or for something to happen.
Okay, thank you.
Any other commissioner announcements? Hearing not, is there a motion to adjourn?
Just 1 minute, Peter. This is Barbara. I just wanted to speak up that next month, I believe we're meeting in person.
Yes.
And could we just confirm where that meeting will be? Is it at our site?
Bethany, do we know yet?
She's trying.
The last
I'm
I
trying,
used,
sorry,
nothing
that
had been tied down at our last executive meeting a couple weeks ago, but maybe it is now.
My understanding, it hasn't been confirmed yet, but it most likely will be in the St. Albans area. And I'll follow up with Catherine, see if we can get that resolved.
We'll look for it in the announcement for the meeting.
Gotta be fast on our
Facility
feet.
down at the St. Albans Town facility worked quite well last time.
Yeah. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
We're adjourned.
Have a
Have a
good
great
evening, everyone.
everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Good night, thank you.